Medicaid cuts disguised as fiscal responsibility. Who really benefits? Colorado Republican Representative Gabe Evans backs Medicaid cuts using GOP dog whistles on fraud and waste to fool his constituents. Despite evidence to the contrary, Evans invokes misleading claims about fraud and undocumented immigrants to justify deep Medicaid cuts, putting tens of thousands of his constituents at risk. Representative Gabe Evans recently voted in favor of a House budget resolution proposing significant spending cuts, including substantial reductions to Medicaid funding. This decision has sparked considerable concern among his constituents, particularly given that approximately 73,000 individuals in Evans's district could be at risk of losing Medicaid coverage due to the proposed work requirements. Evans defends his vote by emphasizing the need to address inefficiencies within the Medicaid system, such as eliminating wasteful spending on deceased individuals and undocumented immigrants. He asserts that tackling fraud is essential to ensure Medicaid's sustainability for those truly in need. However, the validity of Evans' justifications is questionable. Studies have consistently shown that fraud and improper payments within Medicaid are a minimal fraction of overall spending and are often used as a pretext for cutting benefits rather than genuinely improving efficiency. The claim that Medicaid is significantly drained by payments to deceased individuals is largely misleading, as federal and state agencies have strict measures in place to prevent such errors, and instances of these cases make up a statistically insignificant percentage of Medicaid expenditures. Similarly, the assertion that undocumented immigrants are a major financial burden on Medicaid is deceptive. Federal law already restricts Medicaid benefits to U.S. citizens and certain qualified immigrants, with emergency care being the only exception. Evans's justifications as GOP dog whistles and the Southern strategy. Evans' rhetoric aligns with a well-documented Republican communication strategy rooted in the Southern strategy, invoking fraud, waste, and undocumented immigrants as dog whistles to justify deep cuts to social programs. These terms are frequently used to appeal to a conservative base that supports reducing government spending, but rarely come with substantive evidence of widespread abuse. Medicaid fraud as a justification for cuts. Studies have found that fraud accounts for less than 1% of Medicaid expenditures, yet it is repeatedly emphasized by Republican lawmakers to create a perception of widespread abuse. Wasteful spending on deceased individuals. This is an exaggerated talking point. Medicaid has strict eligibility verification measures, and accidental overpayments are both rare and quickly corrected. Undocumented immigrants abusing Medicaid. This is outright misleading. Federal law already bars undocumented immigrants from receiving full Medicaid benefits, with the only exception being emergency medical care. This rhetoric shifts the focus away from the real impact of these cuts: low-income families, seniors, and disabled individuals losing access to essential health care, and instead frames the issue as a crackdown on fraud and government waste, despite evidence to the contrary, political and electoral consequences. Despite these justifications, Evans's stance has led to protests outside his North Glen office, with constituents urging him to reconsider his position on the budget proposal. Critics argue that the proposed cuts could jeopardize healthcare access for thousands, particularly affecting vulnerable populations. The political implications of Evans's support for the budget resolution are significant. Representing one of Colorado's most competitive districts, his alignment with measures that could potentially reduce Medicaid benefits may impact his standing with constituents who rely on these services. As discussions around the budget continue, Evans' position on these cuts will likely be a focal point in assessing his responsiveness to the healthcare needs of his district. For more news like this, visit news.information-warfare.com.